everybody, welcome back to City Sowers. Today I have a small project and then we're actually going to I'm going to do a walk around and we're going to see all of the garden stuff. Now on my last video you guys just saw the kids garden. There's not really much more to add to the last video, and so we're going to walk around and you guys can see the update on our fruit trees and everything that's going on in the backyard. But first I am building another planter because I'm obsessed. Now everybody in my inner circle knows that anytime I see even a storage tote of any kind, I don't think what can I store in it, I think what can I plant in it. And I actually have this under the bed container that the lid broke, fell apart, and I ended up getting some new ones, so now I have this empty, unused one that's been kind of bouncing around in my bedroom for the past several months, waiting for me to do this. And I finally decided I'm just going to do it. I'm going to fill it up with dirt and plant something in it. So I've already drilled the drainage holes in it. I just went around and let's see, there's 3 on either end and then 3 and 3 in the middle, and then I just kind of stuck a random one because you want to make sure that it's well drained. You want your container to be well drained because if you have standing water in there, you end up with root rot and you've got a whole host of problems. So it's well drained. We're going to see how well it turns out. Because it is so shallow, I'm a little concerned about it drying out really bad, but I'm actually going to try and combat that with, where did I put it? Oh, it's over there. So I'm going to try and combat any issues with water retention by putting in these soil moist granules. My mom gave me these for Christmas and I've been waiting for the opportunity to use it, and now I'm going to pull the trigger and I'm going to use it. So this is stuff that is supposed to, when water comes into contact with these beads, they will expand and hold on to that water and slowly release it into the soil. So I'm going to mix this in with the soil that I'm putting in, and I happen to have a couple of extra bags of organic garden soil. Now it is not actually a container soil, which is why I'm adding in those granules to help maintain the moisture in the bed. I do also have some peat moss that I think I'm going to mix in because I just have some of that laying around. So we can try and maximize the water retention in this very shallow plastic container. And obviously I can't just plant anything in it because it is indeed very shallow. So anything that goes in it needs to be a shallow rooted plant. Like even things such as, there's this California poppy here growing in the mound, this thing. You might get away with planting it in there, but those actually grow with a taproot. And a taproot is going to be long and going down into the soil to try and collect as much moisture as possible. So I'm not going to try doing anything like poppies. What I am going to try is, you can grow some radishes. I'm actually going to try, since it's too late in our season to try and grow any radishes that you would harvest the roots, I have some seeds that I just bought today that are called a dragon tail radish, and that is one that you're actually going to harvest the seed pods from it. And so that will be something that I can plant in here. And there are some other flowers that I can plant. I could plant greens. I'm a little unsure if I can get away with planting some chard in here, but you know, I'm going to give it a try because chard is a member of the beet family, and as we all know, beets are root crops. The difference in chard is that it puts the emphasis on the leaf rather than on the root. But you can still get some pretty decent sized roots. I've pulled them out of the ground that are this long. So I'm going to give it a shot because I don't have anywhere else to plant chard. I tried planting it in another spot, but it just didn't really take off. So I will try putting it in here. And I'm also going to put in some basil because my basil crop this year is woefully small. So I'm going to experiment with some things in here. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to plant them organized or just mishmash. I haven't gotten that far yet. But let's go ahead and get this thing ready to go. a good mix of the peat moss mixed in with the garden soil as well as these little granules. I don't want to do too much of any one thing. Whoops. Like that. So, mix it in. And I'm also adding water into here so that I'm not just putting dry dust into the container. It's going to be way easier to water the first time if it's already a little moist. So not soppy wet, but not dusty. Okay, now this last load that I'm going to put in actually does not have any of the granules because the directions on the bag say not to put it in the top 2 inches of soil. So I decided, all right, I'll listen to the bag. They must know what they're doing. So I have a bucket load here of just the peat moss mixed with the garden soil. And we're going to put that on top. Now I want to give this really a good watering just to make sure that the soil itself is damp and ready for soil. Now, the other thing is, did I just make a giant cat litter box? What I'm going to do is, the problem with using the scrap firewood like I've been using for the other containers right now is that it's great for established plants, but for seeds, since I'm going to be direct sowing things into here, it's going to cast too much of a shadow, I think. So I am actually going to go and grab all my forks that I still have that were already in the containers before and reuse those. Because I really don't want cats digging this up and pooping in it. And I don't want to smother anything that wants to come up by putting the wood over it. I think that I will do the seeds first and then do the forks, maybe. We'll see. Now I will go ahead and give that an opportunity to soak in, and we'll water it again after we sow the seeds. But while that absorbs water, we can do our little walkabout. Yay! Okay, so we have our new project mess that we will clean up after I'm done out here. But this is our the California poppy that came out that was pink. It's covered now in seed pods. See all of these? These are all the seed pods for the poppy. It's crazy how much it makes. So, covered in them everywhere. So I may harvest some of the seeds out of those to save and maybe give away. I don't know. Then over here, I have an Easter lily that I planted in here after Easter a couple of years ago, I think. And last year it did nothing, so I thought, oh, well, whatever. And this year it said, nope, 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 I'm alive. And now it's got like 9 flower buds on it, so it's getting ready to open and it's looking glorious. The black goji berries over here, the whole plant is really filled out. You can see down here, way down here, it's got some flowers. Now, it's been flowering for a while, but not really setting any fruit. So, I've never grown goji before, and this is actually a black goji berry. So, I'm not sure what their growing habit is. Just waiting impatiently, waiting to see what happens. And the apple tree has little apples on it that are doing quite well, so huzzah, hurrah. And earlier today, I don't see any right now, but earlier today I saw a little tiny itty bitty baby praying mantis in this tree. Now, I have no idea if I'll ever see one again while they're so tiny, because they are super duper tiny babies. But I did see one, which means that the praying mantis nest that's on here, right over here by these apples, means that it's been hatching. So there should be little babies everywhere in here, but they're just super tiny. The fruit salad tree is quite thoroughly covered in fruit. I haven't seen too much more terrible, horrible leaf curl, so I'm hoping that it's going to hang on to its fruit. It's dropped some, but I think that's to be expected. But it's covered in all kinds of different stone fruits, and I'm super excited. I mean, this is the most fruit I've ever seen on it. But I mean, look at that. That's a legit little peach right there. I mean, that's my finger next to it. I don't want to mess with it too much. But, and then in this planter over here, the moringa tree is alive. It lives. And the strawberry calendula is getting ready to bloom. Awesome, awesome. Super, super cool. Audrey's Berry's crazy cherry tomato is going absolutely nuts. There's so much fruit setting on this thing. So many little tomatoes.
And also there's a really tiny one on here. It's like teeny tiny.
There's even more.
Mommy, look at it. It's tiny.
Even more fruit setting up there.
It's tiny.
Oh yes, Audrey found a little bitty one. So yeah.
Baby.
Now this tomato has actually had some struggle. You can see some of the leaves are a little yellow. I have now fed this a couple of times. I just went out and bought some more straw, so my project hopefully this evening is to come out and mulch all the containers in here like I did in the backyard garden, because it's doing really well up back there. Nathan's planter over here has one plant that I was not entirely sure what it was, and that is the cherry caramel phlox that I direct sowed in here forever ago. And it finally decided, hey, I'm gonna do something. So it's so cute, but that's like the only plant everywhere that came up.
And also over here, look at all the fruit that's over here.
Oh yeah, Nathan's tomato is going crazy. These are chocolate pear tomatoes. And this is actually our second attempt at growing these tomatoes.
Because last year it was some type of hybrid.
Last year, Nathan wanted to grow the chocolate pear tomato, but it turns out that the seed that we got, it was from Baker Creek, but it turns out that it was not a true seed. It was some sort of hybrid. I think it was crossed with aroma or something. It had been open pollinated basically, which was fine. They were still tasty tomatoes, but they weren't what we were looking for. So Baker Creek is super awesome. I contacted them and said, oh hey, you know, we grew these and it wasn't what it was supposed to be. It was a different tomato, and they replaced the packet free of charge. It was great. And so these are the reboot from the replacement package, and so far so good. They look like they're right. They're pear-shaped still. They're small.
So chocolate pears are supposed to be a little tomato, not a slicer?
Yes, chocolate pears are supposed to be a cherry tomato. And the ones last year, they were pear-shaped when they first came in, and then they got kind of more Roma-shaped and colored because they were red. They were not brown.
Ooh, I'm
blushed.
gonna guess what that means.
Oops. Over here in Caleb's planter.
I think they're Dark Galaxy.
No.
They look like it.
Caleb's tomato is the blue cream berry from Wild Boar Farms. Now these ones are going to be, I believe, like a white yellow tomato with the blue blush on the top of them. Last year we grew the blue boar berries, which they were okay. I wasn't super impressed with the flavor on those, so we're giving these ones a try to see if we like them better. My container squash are doing pretty good, actually. I've been coming out here and watering them, taking care of them, babysitting them. This one is the red curry squash. They're doing really good. They're still small, but I think that's just because they're a winter squash. They just grow a little bit slower. They take their time.
And also on this plant, there's ants all over, but this looks like a flower's opening.
Yeah. So this poor squash, this is the yellow scallop squash. It just looks really like it's suffering. It's really struggling. It's had a really heavy aphid load. I came out and sprayed neem oil on it a couple of times in the evening to try and get the bug load down. And it looks like there's finally no bugs on it, but it's really taken its toll. So we'll see if it pulls through. I'm hoping it does, and I'm hoping that mulching this is really going to help with that. Over here, this one is doing better. You can see the new growth on it that's doing better than the old stuff.
And also, are these flower pots?
This is a lemon squash. So there's a tiny little baby squash on there. We're gonna see if that sticks it and makes me a squash. I think that flower is gonna open like tomorrow. It was not open this morning yet. And then these beasts over here are the Costata Romanesco zucchini. And I know that these are going to get absolutely huge and take over, but I don't really care because they're beautiful. And somebody knocked over the forks, so I'm going to pick those up to put those in that container that we just planted over there. On to the backyard. Hey look, the herd of bikes is here. Alright. Okra. Look at that. They're finally doing stuff. They were so puny and sad for so long, and now that we're finally getting some warm days, it's starting to grow. And then we're getting a cold front, and it's cloudy, and it's supposed to rain. But and then all of this is one nasturtium plant that has just taken over, and I'm so deeply impressed by it that I kind of want to keep it. So we're gonna just let it run rampant and let it run its course. And then this bushy plant here, that is a volunteer 4 o'clock, because I had 4 o'clock flowers in here last year, and they freely reseed themselves. The concrete nasturtium is still kicking, though we're seeing less moisture on the concrete, so it may kick the bucket soon. It's a pretty little flower, and I'm sure it's going to be delicious. Not that one though, because it's got bug eggs all over it. Here, Jane. Here you go, darling. No? Oh, wow, fine. Over in this container that I have freshly mulched, so it's staying nice and moist, which is great, and it should help with the heat. But in here we have the red Malabar spinach that is slowly growing. I had no idea that these things would grow so slow. It eventually is going to take off when the heat really kicks in, I think, and it'll go crazy and grow all over this thing. And then there's one marigold in here that has claimed this spot for its own. This container has some volunteer ground cherries, which was surprising to me. There's 3 plants in here, and they need to be rehomed. I might keep 1 in here, but 3 is going to be way too much in here. And then this is the Thai double butterfly pea that's growing in here. It took forever. It's finally starting to take off and climb. So hopefully that'll go nuts. And then this okra here I kind of just unburied by pulling out some more 4 o'clocks and stuff like that, just to get it some more sun. This okra right here is actually opening a blossom, so that'll probably be open tonight, maybe even tomorrow morning. But we'll see if that makes an okra. I mean, they're pretty spindly, but I'm excited for okra. And a couple of direct seeded okra replacements for the plants that passed. But So the okra is a little sad, but I'm gonna mulch in here to try and help with the water retention, because that's a big issue over here. Is the water? It's pretty dry. This plant over here is an enigma. So this is an amaryllis that my grandmother gave me for Christmas 2 years ago, and I just brought the pot out here, and it's been getting its water from anything that just drains out of this strawberry planter, and it's blooming now. I thought that was kind of crazy. It just said, okay, I'm gonna live, and so now it does, and it's very pretty. Now the strawberry tower is doing pretty good. We've only lost a few plants, but the ones that are really doing well are just taking off, so I think that we'll be fine. See, we lost a few. Most of the ones that we've lost have been in the bottom half, so I'm very interested as to why that might be. Maybe there's an issue with the water. But anyway. And then this over here was surprising. This is a moringa that I thought was no longer with us, and it has decided to prove me wrong and says, no, I'm alive. So this is just a tub of extra dirt that I have here. So at this point I need to find a place to put it, because I don't actually have a place to grow it. I'm gonna give that one, I think, to my mom and let her baby it a little bit. So I think it's gonna make another sprout on this side maybe. But yeah, interesting. These containers over here are looking way better just since I mulched just a couple days ago. Because they're small containers, they drain out fast, and with the sun, it just dries them up. So, but now they're just covered in little buds. I volunteered nasturtium here. This pepper is still struggling a little bit, but it'll catch up.
Enjoy your food.
Here's one that's surviving. I think that's the Cuadrado de Astiroso bell pepper. And then over here is my pumpkin spice jalapeno with a jalapeno on it, haha. And the moringa tree that I thought this thing was dead. Like, there was just nothing on it for so long. And then it just decided out of the blue to just explode with growth. So I'm excited. I'm so glad that it's alive, but I wasn't really intending to have it share a planter with a pepper. But that's just how it goes sometimes. The sweet potatoes finally took off. They were so puny for so long. I was not sure that they were going to do anything. But now they're growing. I've got it mulched to help with the moisture retention in here, and we will see how this goes. This is my spearmint that I grew from seed. I'm actually going to start cutting it and drying it, so that'll be a new experience for me. The quote heat tolerant carrots in here. Now, I will admit that they have probably not been getting enough water because it's a container and it doesn't hold water very well. So I'm willing to give these another shot, but they still seem pretty, I don't know. The flavor has not impressed me with the couple that we have pulled out. So I will give them another shot when I have some better water for them. And then this tomato over here is a blue cream berry, just like Caleb's out front, that I had an extra plant, and I can't say no to extra plants, so it's in here. It's all being tied up to the fence now so it doesn't take over everything. And then on this side, this is my unlucky lucky tiger that has grown back with a vengeance. It wants revenge on those goats. But I thought this was really interesting. It grows so different from any other tomato that I have. These really, really long, spindly branches with all these little bitty leaves coming off. It's just really, really different. So I'm kind of in love with this thing. It's different, and it's now putting out blossoms. I'm so excited. waiting for these Lucky Tigers. I tasted these at the Baker Creek Heirloom Expo last year, and they were like eating candy. So I'm so excited to have these. Now, unfortunately, I am going to have to stop filming for today, but I'm going to come out in the morning to finish off our garden tour and finish off my project over there, because we actually have dinner plans that I totally forgot about and then started a project and filming. So I've got to get ready to go for that, and then we can finish this video tomorrow, or as Caleb used to say, tomorrow. Hey everybody, it's the next day, and it is a windy day today, which is going to be a challenge with the filming, but that's okay. We need to get this planter done because I forgot to cover it last night, and the cats have already found it and they already pooped in it. So I've already gone through, mucked it, cleaned it out, but I want to get this planted up and get it protected as soon as possible. Now I will come back and film the rest of the garden tour like in the evening, because right now it's just too bright and the sun washes everything out. So right now we're going to go ahead and plant this up, and I went a little crazy with selecting things to plant in it because I'm a crazy plant lady, and I don't know if any of these things are going to do particularly well, but I figure why not throw them in there. It's all an experiment. I'm going into this planning on having to feed this container fairly regularly because I am going to be overloading it. So I do have an old packet of some rainbow chard that I'm going to put in here. I don't know what kind of germination rate I'll get on this because this is from 2017. I mean, it's been stored properly, so I would imagine it'll still be okay. And then I have some of this sacred basil from Hudson Valley Seed Company. I got these at the Heirloom Seed Expo. They have gorgeous seed packets. I'm going to put this in there. I'm not going to put very much of it because it can get fairly big, but the pollinators love it, so I want to put some in. And very little of it came back up in my garden this year as volunteers, and I loved it so much. I still have some dried and I use it as tea. It's delicious, and so I want to grow some more of it. I also got these seeds at Tractor Supply, I think. Possibly Target, I don't remember now because I've had them for a little bit. But I got this spicy saber basil. I don't know hardly anything about it, but it's different, and I like to collect different kinds of basils and try them. And I also grabbed some more lemon basil seeds. These are actually seeds that were given to me at the Seed Expo, and so they're just kind of in a homemade packet. But they, I have one plant in the yard that the bugs just munched it. So, like, it's alive technically, but there's like no leaves for me to harvest at all. So I want to try maybe growing a couple more plants of this. And I picked up some more marigold seeds because I'm a marigold sucker for anything that's variegated, and the kids really wanted me to put a couple of these in there, so I will give that a whirl. And then these are the dragon tail radishes that I'm putting in there. Now, it's very similar to a rat's tail radish, which is another radish that you harvest the seed pods for or off of, but the rat's tail is green while this one is purple. So I've never grown a radish that you harvest the seed pods for. I've never even really held a radish in the garden long enough for it to go to seed. So I'm kind of excited to see what happens, and I'll probably save some of the pods on here and let them mature and save the seeds from it so I can have it again. And then the last thing I'm going to try that is really going to be a bit of a stretch is I'm putting a cucumber in here. Now this is the miniature white cucumber. It is a compact plant. Like, the whole thing should generally stay around 3 feet instead of bushing out and being a monster. So I'm going to try growing this smaller variety of cucumber because all the cucumbers that I have this year are slicing cucumbers, and I have no picklers, and we really would like to try our hand at pickling some more cucumbers. So that's where we're at. That's what I'm going to do. I think I'm just going to kind of willy-nilly sow most of it we'll see. Okay, so the cucumber I'm gonna put on this side so that it can grow kind of out this way. There's more sun over here on this side in the afternoon and in the morning. I guess there's just more sun in general. But so we'll put the cucumber seeds in here. Thank you, Miss Audrey.
You're welcome.
So that's always embarrassing when you find out that you've been talking to yourself for who knows how long because the battery on the camera died. So we're gonna just jump into hang on, I'm covering the microphone from this wind. Anyway, so the seeds have already been placed in the container. Now what we're doing is I'm going to put all the forks in here so that we can protect it from the cats. So now it looks like we're growing forks, but at this point we're going to keep the cats out of it to let these seeds have a chance to germinate. Once they come up, we can think about taking the forks out, but at this point it just doesn't make sense to try and cover it with any of the scrap wood because that would cover up too much of the surface area. So this will allow the sun still to get in there to germinate the seeds while keeping the cats out. So now we're going to go ahead and thoroughly water it.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
Will you please move the seed packets, Audrey?
Yep.
We do not want those to get wet.
No.
Just like that, our new planter is done. Now is the waiting game. So we just make sure that the moisture is awesome and wait for these to sprout. Hey everybody, I am back. It's evening. I have showered, so I'm changed. It's wonderful because I was doing some hardcore working earlier, but now we are in the garden so that we can finish out our full garden tour of everything that's going on in here. So let's check it out because things have been happening in here. Rosie's on the other side of the yard and she's upset that she's by herself because Betsy and the boys are over here. Rosie! Anyway. Okay, so walking into the garden, the first thing here is this bed right by the gate. And, I mean, there's not a lot going on over here because the things are growing a little slow, but I'm so excited because the Black Magic Cosmos that is getting ready to bloom. I'm so excited. See, the plant is all the way down here and then it's got this long stalk, but this has a really low germination rate. I got the seeds from Baker Creek and they smell like chocolate when they open, supposedly. So that should be opening in the next couple of days and then we can smell it. I'm so excited. The garlic, since I mulched in here, it's staying moister. I'm really, really excited about how the garlic is going to turn out this year. It's getting really big, lush, but yeah, the soil is cool and damp. Fabulous. Then over here in this bed, these Ford Hook zucchini plants have just taken off. They are, I mean, that is a massive leaf. I mean, these things have just gotten huge really quickly. We have a volunteer chamomile that I seriously just came out here and picked flowers off of this yesterday, and those are the new ones. Going nuts. And cucumbers. This Armenian yard-long cucumber took forever to take off, and now it's finally starting to do things. So, this cucumber, I don't remember what it is. My mom had some extra plants and she gave me a couple of them that I don't remember what they're called. But they're really starting to take off. And then my sunflowers are getting really big, really fast. I'm so excited. And I have these actually planted, and this is just a 6-inch wide planter that I just put them in here so that they can grow tall and not fight with anything else. Ooh! This is a scented stalks, and it's opening. I'm so excited. These are supposed to be like an evening blooming flower. And it is evening, but that's the very first one. I don't think that's quite all the way open, so probably tomorrow night it'll be all the way ready. I'm so excited! The next bed over here is the eggplants, and as you can see, the sweet alyssum has taken off. And this is mostly since I mulched, because it was really struggling for a long time, and now that the soil is staying kind of universally moist, the alyssum is taking off. Now, the reason there's no alyssum over here is because of those giant calendula that were over here. So when I planted the alyssum, I didn't plant any over here because of the calendula, and now the calendula is gone, so it's bare. That's why. I'm sure the alyssum will kind of take it over. But we still haven't had any real fruit set on the eggplants, but they are getting covered in new buds. See, this one's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on that skinny little stalk. And then this one is one plant, but it's got like 3 stalks coming up out of it. And this has got probably like a dozen buds on it. It's just going crazy. So I'm expecting to see some fruit set soon from these. And these are more cucumbers, but I saw yesterday, let's see if we can find them, on this plant, there's baby cucumbers! And this is the China Jade cucumber. Oh, look, see, look at that one. It's just, woohoo! I'm so excited! It's going crazy! So we're finally gonna get some cucumbers after all of this trying and failing and restarting and doing it again. Like, finally. I'm really excited. Cucumbers! And then there's a couple more. This is another one that my mom gave me. I don't remember the name of it. I'll have to ask her and write it down because I've asked her like 3 times. But yeah, so this bed is just, I'm so impressed. Just the difference that getting some mulch down makes. And yeah, it's been incredible. Just trapping that moisture in the soil makes a world of difference. And then the long bed back here has turned into a jungle. So this is one plant. This is a ground cherry that I think that the base of it is about here, and now it's hanging off the edge of the planter, and on the other side it's reaching all the way to the trellis. So it's taking over and it's trying to swallow this eggplant. It's like, oh my gosh, it's turned into a monster. I might trim it back a little bit just to kind of give these plants some breathing room. But the Tigger melon is finally starting to grow. And then this one is it has a French name, the Jefferson melon. And then some Kajaris are finally taking off in here. Like, oh my gosh, it's been a year for melons and cucumbers for me. So finally getting them to take off is like, woo! And then my mystery flower that I couldn't remember what it was, I just noticed, is opening. I will have to look through my seed packets now to see what it is, and I will put it on the screen when I figure out what these are. But it looks so pretty. Let's see, does it have a pretty smell? No, not really. But they're very interesting. These long, like, trumpet type flowers. And that's not all the way open. See, these will all open. So, it's really cool looking. Wish I knew what it was. And then the Cimbalo melon pears. If you guys go back to way back when I planted them, they were like this big. They were just teensy little plants. And I had to actually put that tomato cage over one because a cat kept coming in and burying it. And now they have decided to take over, and now this tomato cage is permanent because the plant has eaten it. So I'm really hoping that these will actually set fruit. There's tons of flowers and flower buds. You see they have these really spindly little stalks that will bloom. So I'm hoping that these will set some fruit and we get to kind of see what happens. But they are just going insane. Just woo! If I had known that they would get quite that big, I might not have done 3. But that's okay. At least with 3, we know we'll have plenty of fruit. And then the Sharon Thai melon is back here. It's climbing up the trellis, so I'm really not worried about it getting smothered. It's gonna do fine. And then this other one is the something else. Oh, this is the Petite Grisoin. And the peppers have finally decided to take off. This is the Hinkle Hots pepper, which you can see where it was like in limbo down here, and then boom, all this new growth at the top. And these are Salpiglossis plants here that are finally taking off. This is my little mystery pepper that is looking more and more kind of like a courbacci, but they're shorter than courbacis, so I'm not sure what they are. We'll have to wait and see what the new peppers that come in are, because the plants have all been kind of struggling for a while. And then the really tiny dwarfed little Sugar Rush peach pepper is finally taking off. It was so sad for so long, and I actually pinched off some flower buds it was trying to put out because I think it's still too small. So I'm going to let it mature a little bit more before I let it set any fruit. But it's finally starting to play some catch up. And then back here we have some cosmos that I just kind of threw in here. I think that these are the apricot ones. Yeah, those are super cute. And the rest of the bed just has the hobo eggplants that were left over. So they're smaller than the other ones that are in the garden, but they're already taking off and growing. And then this pepper is the lemon spice jalapeno. So these are going to be yellow. The ones on the patio are pumpkin spice, so those will be orange. So we'll have yellow and orange jalapenos and no green ones because I don't have any green jalapenos. Or no red ones because regular jalapenos ripen to red. The jigsaw pepper, I'm so excited. It is finally doing stuff. Like, these leaves are just gorgeous. The variegation on them is just blowing my mind. And it's starting to put out some flowers, some flower buds, and even the stems on the flowers are just black. They're so cool looking. I'm so excited about it. And the blossoms themselves will be like a deep purple, so they're going to be really cool. And the peppers themselves are also supposed to be purple. So, yay! And this pepper, I thought I was going to lose it. The Black Hungarian, which is another like jalapeno type pepper that is going to be like black, purple black. I thought that this thing was going to die, but since we mulched and got all that soil to retain some moisture, it's really started to take off. The sweet pepper bed over here is also just going nuts. Like, oh my gosh. Like, see, these are the Marconis. There's not a whole lot going on. This plant, I believe, got broken on accident from a cat, because cats do that. And, but like this one is starting to pump out some buds. So we'll start seeing some fruit set as soon as those are open. And then we've got a bunch of nasturtiums that are going crazy in here. Then this row of peppers is the Keystone Resistant Bell. And like, there's just a whole cluster of buds right at the top of the plant. It's just, they're going crazy. Crazy, crazy. Even this one, I mean, that plant here, gotta get past this green onion, massive pling. But you can see there's just a ton of buds on just this little bitty plant. So I'm so excited to finally see some action on the pepper front. It took them so long to get going. This is kind of a mixed row. It's got a mixture of the Keystone bells and the Corbaci peppers, which I have a whole row of Corbacis on the end here, and those are going insane too. And in the middle row here is the Lesia pepper, which has a really not great germination rate. So I was only able to get 4 plants out of, I probably started 20 seeds and got 4 plants out of it. So it was a struggle to get them this far. But now they're finally taking off, and they're putting out a bunch of buds too, just like everybody else. They're hopping on the bandwagon. And then the Corbacis, you can see it's got those nice long stems to the blossoms before they even open. And those will be glorious. I'm so excited. The strawberry planter's been going crazy with pumping out the berries right now. Like, this is the Everbearer that I have, and it's just constantly produced. Oh, a bug got to this one. I've been eyeing this one. Well, that one got all bug eaten. That's a bummer. It's all squishy. But I happen to know some friends who can take care of that for me. There you go. It's a shame they don't like them, right? Okay. Now, onward to my massive tomatoes. And our bachelor button forest. I didn't really intend on letting this stay. But, I mean, just look at how many buds it has on it. This is my problem. I can't say no to things. And I mean, this is my shoulder. They're this tall because they're, 18 inches off the ground because they're in raised beds. But I'm loving it. They're glorious. And they've been falling over and blocking the walkways occasionally, so I'll just cut off whatever blocks the walkway and throw it to the goats, and they think it's delicious. They like pick all the leaves and the flowers off and leave the stems. But the tomatoes are going crazy. This is the Nature's Riddle tomato, which I haven't seen a ton of fruit set on it yet. I've seen a ton of flowers. I gotta tie more of this up. A lot of flowers, but not a ton of fruit set. But down here at the bottom, hello, there's 1 tomato, and then behind it 2 tomato. So we got thing 1 and thing 2 back there. And there may be more in here that I'm not seeing just because of the jungle, which is glorious and smells wonderful. I love that tomato smell. Just, the foliage. If you have a tomato plant, smell your tomato plant. I love it. Or even just rubbing your hand on it and then smelling your hand, just, it's amazing. This branch is going to need to be tied up. But, and then there's cosmos that are actually planted all the way at the bottom. And they are determined to live. So this Cosmo is reaching all the way down to the soil, and it is higher than eye level for me. This thing is so determined to live. But the middle tomato in here is the kryptonite tomato. And it's got several fruits that are in here that are kind of hidden because everything got more jungly over them. But here, let's see. The first fruits that set on it are somewhere in this vicinity. Here they are. Those are the first ones, and they're getting good size. But there's like new ones everywhere, and they're permeating every... Hello, Washington. What are you doing?
Just thought we might say hi.
There's a goat in my garden.
You want to taste some tomato? Mama
Don't
loves her.
feed him my stuff.
They're delicious. You should try it.
Don't feed him my plants.
Oh, yes.
David.
Ooh, Dark Galaxy's his favorite.
Fortunately, there's no dark galaxies in here.
Oh. That's why he spit it out.
Anyway. But see, there's... this might actually... that might be a different tomato that's mixed in here. They're all kind of crisscrossing, so you're not going to know what it is until it ripens. But behind the jungle of the bachelor buttons is the pork chop tomato that finally has some fruit set on it that I found. Oh, see, here's one, and another one. Like there's several in here. There's a couple more up here. Like, I'm so stoked because I've been waiting for this butch of a plant to set some fruit. Here we can go around to the other side. But first, look at this. This is my walkway. It used to be a walkway. Now it's a jungle. But I'm perfectly okay with that because jungles are glorious and green and they smell alive. And I love it. This is a volunteer nasturtium that has decided that it's just going to take off. And it's blooming all the way up to here. And I love it. So I leave it and just dance around all the plants. This tomato is the Dr. Weitch's yellow tomato. Now I have not yet seen any fruit set on it. The plant itself is very healthy. It pumps out the blossoms, but it's not setting any fruit. And I've been coming in here and hand pollinating, which is just as simple as, just tapping it. And they're just not setting any fruit. So I'm not sure what's going on with that. I'm hoping that it's got one or two that are in there that I'm just not finding. But that'll require some deeper digging. The middle tomato on this side is the Napa Chardonnay blush tomato, which has a bunch of fruit set on it, which is great, and I'm so excited. See, here's another one of the kryptonite tomatoes from the other side. It's just it decides to grow where it wants to grow. So we're gonna have like a mishmash of tomatoes in here. Yeah, it's growing where it's planted. And see here we've got some Napa Chardonnays right next to a kryptonite, which I think is really cool because when those all ripen, it's gonna be cool. And then the last tomato here is the Raspberry Liana, and this thing is so loaded with tomatoes. I mean, look at that. It is so heavily loaded with tomatoes. I'm impressed already by this little thing. If these turn out to be delicious, this may be a return visitor. Now, last year I did have a tomato that produced a ton like that, but I wasn't super impressed with the flavor on it, and that was the black vernissage tomato, which it was okay, but it wasn't great. So I'm looking for a heavy producer that's great. But it looks like David has some friends over there and we should go say hi. Do you have friends?
I do. This one is ready for a bottle, it looks like.
Oh, Rosie, again? You ready for another bottle?
And this one is just a glutton. He was just going to town on the mineral and he was bouncing back and forth. And what?
Don't let her chew on you. That's a bad habit.
Bad. It's so hard to do that to her. She's like, just the fact that she's going after stuff is so refreshing and rewarding because
she's actually more like a girl.
Yeah. And now I'm like, no, but do it. Oh. She's gonna make someone a lovely pet.
Yes, she is. She's so sweet.
And this little man, he is gonna be just a monster. He's incredible. The coloring is just gorgeous. Look at that.
He's beautiful.
I think he takes after his daddy.
Alright, well that's kind of our update. Don't eat my hair.
Eat her hair. No,
Don't
go
eat
for
my
it.
hair.
Daddy will let you do whatever you want.
Anyway, so that's kind of our update on everything that's going on in the garden and a little bit of I have a problem project.
I like watching you. You have a passion. It's awesome.
So, anyway, as always, this is your urban nerd with a goat herd.
And her awesome husband.
And her awesome husband. And her
herd.
And her little herd. Anyway, telling you can grow where you're planted.
I have nothing.
No quippy thing?
I have to have a quippy thing. Even if you're a thing in a garden, you can grow and... I gotta work on that. I'll get back to you. Tune in next time.